Loren, we haven't picked the nicest day for it in terms of wind. I think our hair is going to be blowing everywhere, but you're going to tell us just a little bit about your footballing journey. So can you remember when you first started playing football? When was the first time you kicked a ball?
Yeah, no, I can't remember that, to be honest. That's
Too
probably
far back.
Shows how long I've played football for. I had 4 boy cousins and they all played football. I went out on the street and played football with everybody, my neighbours and everything, and they gave me hand-me-down football boots, and I think that's the first memory I can of playing football I have. And then from there on, I was lucky enough that I got to play with the boys at my primary school. And for being so far back, my primary school actually had a girls' football team as well, so I got involved with that quite early on as well.
Was that quite different for back then to have a separate boys and a girls' team?
Yeah, I mean, there was like girls' football at school, but it wasn't, mass. Not every school had one, so yeah, I suppose I was quite fortunate that my school did have a girls' team at the time.
And it was Portlethen, was it, that you grew up in? Or?
Yeah, I grew up in Portlethen and I went to Fisher Moss Primary, so played for Portlethen Sports Club and then Fisher Moss girls' team.
And can you remember the first time you came across Aberdeen or Aberdeen ladies when you...
Yeah, I was playing for Portlethen and we'd managed to set up our own girls' team at the time there. So we were playing Aberdeen in the league and I think we got scalped 8-1, 10-1, something like that, but the one was my goal, which to be fair nowadays would be rare. So I must have played all right, and then the next week they sort of got in touch and I've just been at Aberdeen ever since.
Can you remember that moment when you signed for Aberdeen, even though it was Aberdeen ladies and being a young age? Was it still quite a proud moment?
Yeah, definitely. Like if you're a good player, they were the team that always, won the league every year and dominated sort of in our area. So it's always nice to be asked and then nice to go and see that you can fit in and get a game. It was good. And
how was it growing up playing football as a girl? Did you ever come across anyone making any funny comments, anything like that, or was it all fine?
I was the girl that played football at school,
yeah.
if that's what you mean. But no, the boys in my school, they always wanted me to play with them, or I played in PE, so they were actually really nice, to be honest. Probably had the odd comment, you're a girl, you play football, but that was just kind of my identity at school, was the girl that played football. And
then you joined Aberdeen ladies. What age did you say you were around about then?
Must have been about primary 6, so 10 maybe, yeah.
And you were with them all the way up pretty much through till...
Yeah, pretty much. Had a couple of spells away with work and things like that, but yeah, pretty much been at the club since that age.
And is there a few of the girls who you've come up from Aberdeen ladies that are now playing still, or you were around anyway, maybe not in the same age group, but you're aware of? Yeah, well, I've got friends for life through football, and a lot of them have come through all the way through the youth systems with me to adult football. We're not all maybe together at Aberdeen now, but we're all still involved in the game, which is really nice. And growing up playing football, was it just for Aberdeen ladies, or would you play for the school as well, or was that not such a thing? Yeah, when I was younger, I played like primary school football, and then like for under 13s on different days. I think it was a Saturday and then a Sunday. And then kind of phased out that, and I took Aberdeen quite more seriously, and it got more training nights, etc. So then just kind of smoothly transferred over to Aberdeen. And was it always football, or was there ever anything that any other sports that caught your attention? Just definitely just football. Yeah, I was like at school always good at PE and like general sports, but yeah, football was just the one for me. You've played for Scotland as well at a couple of different age groups. Yeah, I was lucky enough to play Scotland sort of youth level football, under 17s and under 19s, so it's always nice to play for your country. And what's that moment like, representing Scotland? Yeah, it's massive. You're like the best of that age group. I was lucky enough to go a few folk from my team, my friends as well, and they've been friends for life since. And yeah, looking back, I think when you're younger you maybe don't appreciate what it is, but looking back it was a massive achievement. Talking about travelling as well, you played in the Gothia Cup as well? Yeah. How was that? Yeah, that was really good. We went back for 2 years actually, because the first year was brilliant. I think if you're involved with youth football, it's something I would definitely say go for it. Opened your eyes to how much people play football, and for us it was exposed to see how many girls teams there was around the world, not just in Scotland or in England. So yeah, it was a really good experience. And what's it like, even at that age, playing against different teams that you wouldn't come up against in and around Aberdeen and testing yourself against different players? Yeah, it's an eye-opener. I think like when you go to the Gothia Cup, you can play like 3 games in one day. So I remember playing like Americans in the morning, Iceland,
during the day, and then Germany like in the evening, just totally different styles of football, opening your eyes to like playing players that really, really want to win, that'll nip you, that'll battle you, that'll foul you. So yeah, I think it's good, especially when you're a youth player, just to experience that.
And is there anyone who you've come up against when you're younger who's gone on and made a name in the professional game?
Yeah, like when obviously playing youth international football, I've played like against Jordan Nobbs for England, some of the German players. I was lucky enough to go to regional squads with Kim Little, and I've played against Erin Cuthbert. So yeah, I think touched on a lot of good Scottish talent, which unfortunately I've just played against and probably been beaten by.
And we've ended up in the home dressing room now here at Pittodrie. Have you ever been in before?
Nope.
never been in. What's it like in the dressing room before the game when you're at the Balmoral Stadium or an away game? Is it quite lively or are you all quite relaxed?
Yeah, no, we're like one big team, which is the truth at Aberdeen. I think we're all friends. It's all different age groups. We like music. We've got our own team busker with disco lights on it, so that's a big part of match day warm up and fighting over who connects their phone to that, and if it's an oldie or a youngie. But yeah, there's always good banter in our change rooms before the game.
And there's a few dubious DJ choices at times. I hear of music choices as
well. It's not even if it's dubious, it's just like my old generation doesn't even know what's on, so we prefer sort of a slightly older player to take control of that.
And you say about the older players and the younger players, there is a wee bit of an age gap in the team, but you do all seem to get on.
Yeah, there's an age gap, I think, which is quite obvious between a group of players and then the younger ones, but I think maybe us older ones are maybe immature for our age and they're mature, so that it seems to like bridge a gap. I forget I'm 10, 15 years older than some of them, which is really quite nice because it shows how good they are on the pitch and in their social lives.
And what's it like just that 5 minutes or so before kick-off, once you've done your warm-up and before you go out onto the pitch? Who kind of says the last word? Is it Kelly as captain or is it Emma or Gav?
Yeah, a bit of both. We come together in the change rooms. We've got a one-team mantra, so Emma and Gav will speak in the change rooms before we leave. We go out into the tunnel, Kelly does the toss, and then we come together as a group of players collectively then just speak quickly before kick-off. So there's a bit of both, a bit with management and a bit with just players only. And
yourself this season, you were captain for a few games at the start of the season with Kelly's injury. How did you find that?
Yeah, it's nice to get that, but unfortunately I'm captain when Kelly doesn't play, so we'd rather have Kelly on the pitch. But yeah, it's nice to be acknowledged. It's nice to lead the team out, and yeah, it was a proud moment. We started the season on TV as well, so it was a lot of pressure, but yeah, I quite enjoy it. But yeah, definitely prefer when Kelly plays.
What type of captain are you? A shouter, or are you more just lead by example?
Yeah, I would say lead by example, but yeah, I'm probably a shouter. I don't know if you've come to a few of our games. I try to shout encouragement, though. I don't like to get on players' backs. I don't think that helps anybody, so just trying to communicate as much as I can throughout the game.
Right, we'll just head outside, pitch side. Growing up, who did you look up to as a player that was playing, and did you have any role models?
When I was younger, I actually used to play like holding midfield. I used to watch Makalele a lot for Chelsea. Yeah, like women's football wasn't massive at the time, so I can't really pinpoint a female footballer, but I suppose Julie Fleeting. At the time, she was kind of set in the way, not that she was in my position, but those were probably two players that I admired growing up.
Is that something now you notice has changed with the exposure of the women's game, the amount of role models that there are for the younger girls coming through?
Yeah, definitely. I think people have now made it to professional football. You've got Erin Cuthbert playing for Chelsea, Kim Little captain of Arsenal, so I think it's more visible now and maybe more relative to have a female footballer as like your idol, whereas back in the day when I played, Kim had signed for Arsenal, but it wasn't really visible, so it was still kind of men's football that I followed for sort of an idol.
Is that something you notice as well, even with the exposure of the women's game and the more investment that's in the level of coaching that there is in the game now? Yeah,
definitely. I think it's just excelled, isn't it? It's propelled very, very quickly. I think there was a few years where it was like, it's women's football, not a lot of investment. But I think like the last 4 or 5 years since the World Cups, they've been on TV. I think the rate and the propulsion of like investment has gone massive, and it's nice to see. I'd like to probably be 10 years old now. I think you have a chance of having like a proper career out of it.
So Loren, you've been with Aberdeen and Aberdeen ladies all the way through. How are you finding life in SWPL 1?
Yeah, it's good, I think. We've made quite a good account of ourselves this season. There's a couple of games we were a bit frustrated with, but then we've beaten Hibs, which was maybe a bit ambitious as well. So I think we are probably where we want to be. As a team, we targeted 5th, I think, where we are now. We could maybe even target 4th. So I think it's really positive. And yeah, I think we've come up and made a really good account of ourselves this season.
Could you ever imagine yourself playing in the top league when you were coming through as a young girl?
Yeah, like I came from sort of Aberdeen under 17s, and then they were already in the top flight, so it was a massive jump at that point, but the standard of football wasn't quite the same. So since, going down, getting relegated and coming back up, there's a massive difference. Teams are now professional, so yeah, I mean, I think I'm just used to it, but I suppose, yeah, it's actually a privilege to be able to play at this level.
What differences do you notice playing in SWPL1 even from SWPL2? Is it just the quickness and the physicality?
Yeah, I think, like I say, because teams are professional, they train all the time. Physical, quickness, it's quite tactical, the women's game as well, if you've ever watched it. I think, yeah, it's slightly slower, less physical than the men's game, but I think technically it is up there, so it's slightly different type of football. But yeah, you can tell the teams that train full time, unfortunately, there's just a wee bit of a gap between sort of the top 3 and the rest at the moment, but hopefully we can start to bridge that gap soon.
And is there anything you can do to bridge that gap as a part-time against the full-time teams, even at the moment? I know you train on a Tuesday and a Thursday, or is it just all about working hard and maybe hopefully catch them on an off day?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it probably is luck, for playing certain big teams, I suppose. But bridging the gap, yeah, we take accountability for ourselves, the team, we go to the gym ourselves, trying to do as much as you can, but yeah, I think there's just a wee bit of a limit, isn't there, for what you can do when you work 9 to 5 and then you maybe have to play that night or train that evening, whereas these girls, fortunately, just get to do it as their full-time job.
And you've been saying they're travelling down to Glasgow or down to the Central Belt for a midweek game, as you're saying you're working 9 to 5 and then having to get down and just, you maybe don't have as much time to prepare right before the game, you're just having to go out and play. It can maybe be quite frustrating, can it, when you're away to play a full-time team?
Yeah, I think, I don't know any different. Unfortunately, I've never ever been full-time, so yeah, but you do realise then, once you get there, you're like, oh yeah, they are just, a step ahead, they've prepared all day, you're coming from work. I think it's resilience of the team to do it. It's where we are at the moment, but hopefully, maybe that'll change in the future.
What are the big differences that you've noticed in terms of the women's game as a whole in Scotland as you've gotten older and come up through the ranks? Is it just the level of exposure and the coaching, or is there more to it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the basis of it, isn't it? But I think maybe just exposure, we've been to the World Cup now. I think the league's now to join with the SPFL, which is a professional body. So just the professionalism, every club stepped up. It's not just, Glasgow City led the way for a long time, but I think every team that's in SPL1 right now are very professional, social media, preparation, gym, training. I think that's the main difference from when I started out to now.
And that can only help, can it, going forward for the next 10 years and help grow the game as a whole?
Yeah, definitely. I think it sets the standard, it raises the standard in Scotland, which I think is just good for the league as first and foremost, but it raises the standard of the national team as well. Hopefully that improves Scotland. Hopefully we can have better players playing in our league, and then it also gives them that chance to potentially kick on to play maybe English football or an American football, because at this type moment in time I would say the English game is at the highest point in women's football.
And later this month, on March the 23rd, Aberdeen Women are going to play the first ever game here at Pittodrie against Rangers. How much are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, just delighted that it's happening. I've been here at the club since I was 10. It's never happened. It's actually happening, I think is what I tweeted. So yeah, excited to walk out. I've not really thought about it yet. We've got a couple of games before that, but yeah, the excitement's building now that it's out on social media. Everybody's starting to know about it, being asked questions, how to get tickets, who's coming. So yeah, there's a real buzz about it that it's happening.
And have you given it a moment's thought about being in this dressing room 2-3 minutes before kick-off, what that feeling might be like stepping out onto Pittodrie? Yeah,
no, I've not thought about it. I think just trying not to get ourselves nervous. Like you say, there's a couple of games before that, but yeah, looking and being in here now, it's a really nice setting, isn't it? So I think, yeah, it's a tough ask. We're playing Rangers here midweek, but yeah, we'll give it our all and hopefully we can get a good result on the night.
Have you got it in the back of your mind about not trying to pick up any injuries beforehand or any stupid red cards so you don't miss out, or is it just something you just try to forget about?
Yeah, no, I've been watching my bookings. Not that I'm totally dirty, but I was aware that I was on a couple of bookings. So yeah, I've tried to be careful in the last few games. silly red cards, hopefully that doesn't happen. But injuries, I think we've all just been trying to block it out. Nobody wants to miss Pittodrie, but it's about getting those points on the board before we even get here. So yeah, I think if you think you're going to get injured, you might. So it's just a case of trying to play normally on the lead up to this point.
Do you have any friends, family or workmates coming along?
Yeah, definitely. My dad and my boyfriend, they come every week to Cove, so they're definitely coming. Some of my friends are already season ticket holders, so they're coming. Had texts from workmates asking when it is, and yeah, just general good feedback on social media as well. So I think there'll be hopefully a good turnout on the night.
Now it's officially announced and you're saying you're getting texts on your phone, does it make you just look forward to that bit more now everyone knows, and maybe that's all people want to talk to you about?
Yeah, definitely. I think maybe as pressure, I suppose. But yeah, I think now, we've heard about it as a team for a while, but it was never confirmed. Now it's out there, it's happened, and it feels like, oh yeah, okay, actually we are playing at Pittodrie. So yeah, just there's maybe that added pressure that everybody knows about it now, but it's just nice that it's happening.
And you get a lot of young girls who come along to games at the Balmoral Stadium, playing here at Pittodrie, them coming along. That must be something great to feel like you're going to inspire the next generation. If they can see you out at Pittodrie, then in 10 years' time or whatever, then they think that could be me out there. Why not?
Yeah, definitely. I think some of the crowds we've had at Balmoral have really surprised us in a nice way this far this season. I think, to credit to the club, they make it free for under 12, so a lot of these youth teams come along and support us, and it's appreciated. It gets you through sometimes the final 10 minutes when you're going for goals or you're playing a hard team. So yeah, for that same people to get to come to Pittodrie and support this, I think it does inspire people. How can it not? If you're a little girl that wants to play football, why don't you want to play at Pittodrie? I think it is the dream. So yeah, it's nice to be part of that maybe inspires the next generation.
And you talked about when you were younger, there wasn't really anyone to relate to so much as you were coming up. Now for these young girls, especially in the Aberdeen area, they will be able to relate to you, saying these are girls who went to maybe the same school as me and now they're playing at Pittodrie. Why can't it be me?
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, this didn't happen when I was younger, so I can't really relate to having a female role model as such. So I think it's the same, isn't it? You have to see it to believe it. So I think that's nice that it's happening, and yeah, I think it can only be inspiring. Despite the results, despite what happens, if you're a young footballer, you want to play for Aberdeen, you want to play at Pittodrie. So yeah, and it's a big part of that. It's about inspiring the next generation to keep football growing and to keep the standards being raised.
And finally, just as a little girl who was growing up playing in the street in Portlethen, could you have ever imagined stepping out onto the pitch at Pittodrie, playing in the top league in Scotland?
No, the truth is no. I just play football because I love football, and I'm very thankful that it's kind of taken me to this position. So yeah, like I say, I've played here since sort of 10 years old, have been promised Pittodrie potentially a few times, so for it to actually happen is massive, and yeah, I'm so excited for that game on the Wednesday night.
Loren, thank you so much for your time. All the very best of luck for the game here later on this month and for the rest of the season.
Perfect, no worries, thank you.